Welcome to Real Talk Episode 5. I am Brian Rose, and you're joining me here in London Real Studios, where we beam to you content every week. We bring the most fabulous guests in the world. I sit them down, and I try to get in their head for a couple hours every week. But this is Real Talk, where I get to answer your questions in rapid fire. I'm kind of relaxing. It's been a crazy 7 days since I spoke with you last time. Honestly, there's been so much going on around here that I've had a hard time thinking or prepping or planning, but it's been fabulous. I've just been connecting with so many different people. If I go back to last week, I had Imogen Heap sitting here in this chair, who's a world-renowned musician. Then I walked around London with Ido Portal, the movement expert, almost got arrested 3 different times. Then we were back in studio on Thursday, where I had Marianne Williamson sit in this chair. She has, I think, 11 books, 4 New York Times bestsellers. She is known for her quote, which is often given to Nelson Mandela, which is, "Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure." She literally blew me away for 2 hours. She was sitting on the edge of her seat talking to me about the terrorist actions in Paris, how we can forgive, how to make Oprah cry, which is what she does. It was absolutely fabulous. And that was the end of that week. And then this week, I've just finished today speaking with Wim Hof, also known as the Iceman, who has 26 different world records for feats withstanding the cold. And yesterday, I had the UK and world-renowned comedian Eddie Izzard, who was here, who quite frankly is probably our biggest guest to date when it comes to, say, a metric like Twitter followers. He's at over 4 million. It was a huge honor to have him stop by, and we spoke to him for 90 minutes about everything, whether it's performing stand-up comedy in French, German, Spanish, touring 28 countries around the world, how he used to work as a street performer in Covent Garden for a year and was absolutely horrible at it, but he stuck at it and then figured out how to do that. So, you know, I've been running around like a madman. I've been constantly obsessed with prepping for these guests because it ultimately comes down to how good I can really get the most information out of them so they inspire you and get that one thing they say that clicks in your mind that makes you think, yeah, I'm going to do that different, or I'm going to jump into a barrel of ice, or I'm going to try stand-up comedy, or I'm going to think about transgenderism differently, which is what Eddie taught me. I'm going to get Luis to come in here for a quick close-up in honor of Eddie Izzard, who has been a transgender transvestite for 30 years. I painted my fingernails because he paints his nails, and I have the British flag on my right nail and the European Union flag on my left nail. And the girls did this for me at home, and I thought I would do it to show Eddie a little solidarity while he was here. I'm not sure if he was impressed, but it actually felt good, and I've actually left my nails painted, which is a strange feeling, being in a suit with nails painted, but I think I'm gonna rock this look for a while. The guys here aren't sure, but that's okay. So that's what my week has been like. As an Academy member, you can actually watch 7 different episodes in their live form right now in the Academy. So if you go to the live section, you can watch RJ Mitty, who is Walt Jr. from Breaking Bad, in its entirety. You can watch James Rhodes, the classical trained musician who just came out with a book all about his childhood and his torturous sexual harassment and sexual abuse as a boy, some of his depression issues and how he overcame all of that. Julian Treasure, who has 30 million views on his 5 TED Talks. I've never met anybody with 5 TED Talks. That's capital TED. And Imogen Heap, Wim Hof, and all the rest. So you can check that out right now. The Iceman today was just incredible. I know a lot of you have been begging for me to speak to the Iceman. We kept this one and Eddie very quiet because, quite frankly, if we publicize them too much, there's a chance sometimes that a major media outlet will just see it and maybe ring them up, and I just don't want to lose them to a BBC or a Sky or someone like that. So I try to keep it quiet until we get them in the bag. So I haven't always asked for your questions beforehand, and sometimes there might be sensitive if they hear that it's going out to you first. So I've kept that a little on the down low, but now it was amazing to sit down with Wim Hof today, and I think we got something really special out of him, something very London real, and he really enjoyed being here. Wim is a guy who feels his way through the world, and he looks at you really deeply, and if he doesn't feel you, then he leaves. At least that's the feeling I got. But this morning, we got on really well with him and his son, Inam, so that was really fabulous. So all those things are happening. For me, it's just today has been me getting back to basics, and I'm going to answer some of your questions today on how I separate my workflow from responding to things like email, because the last 7 days was hugely challenging for me when I'm trying to keep production up, keep the Academy running, but also make sure that we get the great interviews and make sure these episodes happen. So it's been crazy. Hopefully I can add a little bit there. A few things happening on the site. You should know we've had fabulous site updates. Everybody's been sending me messages telling me how incredible it is, and I agree. The activity feed is looking beautiful, better than ever. It's super fast, it's super compact. There's so much content going on there, so much inspiration, posts by me, success secrets, everything. So get on that. Also, if you see a red star next to someone's profile, that means they're a full member of the Academy. So that's a great way to know. You can also search and do the search function and find out where people are based on location, interest, and skills. That's all been updated. So update your profile with your interests like martial arts or psychedelics or politics, and update your profile with skills. Maybe you're good at website building or broadcasting like me. Put those in there and you can find each other. Also, if you don't have an accountability buddy, and I bet you don't, now there's a form on the right nav bar, and you can click on it, and you can fill out what you need to do in order to get the right person. And then Noura is going to go ahead and match you up, and you're going to be all set for that. So that's all happening right now on the site. Check it out. The blog content is also amazing. All of our pieces of writing about our guests, the 3 things that I've learned each week, it's just all populated in there and all incredible. So check that out. Big shout out to Dre for making that all happen, and it's getting even better and better and better. I'm just so proud of the rich content we have going on there. It's the best London Real has ever looked. It's a huge destination. It's got exclusive courses, it's got meetups, it's got real talks with me, it's got live broadcasts, it's got 24/7 constantly streaming London Real television. So just a huge fan of what we're doing there. Go check it out. Finally, get on the private Facebook group. It's all for all full members of the Academy. Stuff happening on there right now. Carl posted about skydiving. He's looking for a buddy. He's going to do a full accelerator freefall course in April. He's looking for someone to join him. So go do that. Chris just posted on what time of the day to work out and train. Amazing. Chris is actually, for free, I think, private mentoring people on their own fitness in the Academy. So again, a huge resource from the Academy. And we've had video introductions from Vesa from Finland. Eves just posted one from Brussels today, and Marion in Bulgaria. I love getting these. They're 3-minute videos shot to phone. Sometimes they're the first time these people have ever done a vlog. They introduce themselves, and then everybody from the tribe comes in and says, welcome, let me help, be my accountability buddy, let's go, let's rock. So it's just a constant source of amazing energy. I'm telling you, you guys in the Academy, you guys keep me positive when I'm going crazy, prepping for all these shows and making all that happen. So there you go. Let's jump into your questions. I'm going to answer, I think, 7 or 8, and just try to give you guys some real talk and let you know how I've been feeling today and how I've been feeling this week. Jamil Albana says, hey, Brian, how can you convince your mind to completely focus on your work while ignoring all the noise around you, as sometimes the noise around you can actually bring some brilliant ideas and breakthroughs? Example would be constantly checking emails, diverting into different business models, and so on. Great question, Jamil, like super important. This last 7 days, I had to completely unplug, especially for the Ido Portal moving conversation that we shot last week on Wednesday, that Luis was preparing for weeks, did an amazing job. We had a whole crew for that. When you see it, it might look like me and Ido walking down the street, but there are like literally 6 people behind us filming everything, recording audio, carrying bags, making sure the police don't arrest us. So I had to just shut off because I'm prepping for this piece, and I know if an email comes in that says, Brian, you've got to pay the rent, it's due, or Brian, this guest is angry because they haven't got the trailer, or Brian, do this, that I'm going to stop focusing on my prep for Ido, or my prep for Marianne, or the last minute details of getting Wim Hof in the studio. And so I have to turn into what I call maker mode. And this is a term that Tim Ferriss has talked about, Julian talks about this as well. You have maker mode and manager mode. And I think this is good for us all to kind of separate your day. I think a great way of doing it is being in maker mode up until, say, noon or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that means all you do is create. You just create. Because let's be honest, if you're not creating something, you probably aren't creating any value. So for me, that means booking interviews, preparing, pitching ideas, pitching business models, creating great content on the academy, making sure people are paired up, making sure everything happens. That's maker mode. Manager mode is making sure all of these things happen, and it's more of a follow-up, chase up, let's have meetings, let's talk to people. And I think people confuse them sometimes, and they're easy to mix up, and if you're not careful, your monkey brain loves to kind of be in manager mode. Especially me, I like to be in micromanager mode. And right now, everyone in the studios is nodding their head because I love to get in everybody's business and remind them of all these little things. And it doesn't really do me any good. It probably doesn't do them any good either. Again, everyone's nodding over here. So what I was able to do with Ido, and actually something Ido taught me last week, seems like an eternity ago, is that sometimes you just need to shut down and focus on the important stuff and just don't answer your emails for 5 hours. And I found that, guess what? Everything's okay. And this actually goes back to something I learned in the 4-Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss, before I ever thought he'd be on the show. I was reading his book in 2005. I was a banker, and I came across the information diet. And that was check your email once a day. And Tim used to do this to train all of his business associates, friends, colleagues, family, that email wasn't something to get a quick response out of. So if it's really, really important, I get a call or a text. And to be honest with you, when I get a call or a text, it means we have a problem. So I don't like getting calls or texts from people in the team because it means we got a big problem. Otherwise, it's an email, and an email can wait. And trust me, they can wait more than you think. So don't be that monkey who's looking for the endorphin rush by checking your email all the time. It's actually just a form of weakness, and it's a form of entertaining yourself. Email should be called something different because it sounds so innocent, but it's a big black hole of death, and you need to stay away from it because it'll suck you in because you're always looking for it for affirmations, you're looking for it, like I said, for dopamine, to let people know that you're caring about them or people are thinking about you, and we use it as a source of gratification when it should be used as a tool for 2 reasons, input and output. And I always say, email is someone else's agenda for your time. I'll say that again. Email is someone else's agenda for your time. So when you check it, guaranteed, you're going to go on a path that is not maker, it's someone else's path for you. What you can do, and again, this is a Ferriss idea, you can go to Gmail offline, or what I do is I just create documents, compose Google Docs, and write out all of the emails you need to do. Or I prepare on Google Docs all the questions I want to ask Ido, all the things I want to make sure I ask Wim Hof, and get all that stuff prepared. Do that in your morning piece, and then in the afternoon, open up email and send that out. And then pick an hour where you respond to emails and then leave it alone until the next day. If you can do that, I guarantee your productivity will go up by like 3 times. So I hope that made sense. Give yourself the information diet, and that means at night as well. Only check your Facebook once a day, check your Twitter once a day. Trust me, everything will be okay. And you'll find yourself being much more productive. If I find someone who spends hours a day on Twitter, most likely they're unsuccessful. It's quite simple. It's just that simple. If I find someone that checks their email every 20 minutes, they're unsuccessful because there's no way they're getting anything done. So if that's you, well, reverse engineer your success and stop doing it. Mike LaRock, my man. I always talk about Mike, one of my favorite Academy members, even though I love everyone all the same. He says, Brian, taking another step tonight towards my goals, doing a Toastmaster meeting tonight. That's where you do public speaking. Awesome. What are some of the things you are doing to keep the growth process going for yourself? Great question, Mike. You know, I need to constantly be growing, and I was looking at myself, and my girls really put up with me because every time a big guest comes on, like the world stops for Brian. And as I get prepared, like seriously, nothing can happen with me. I can't even buy something on Amazon for like $1 because I got to focus on that. I won't even answer an email. my dad might send me an email and I won't pick it up because I don't want my brain to go off track. And I take it so seriously. It's like the biggest thing in the world. And like a week later, I'd be like, oh, well, if they didn't show up, then we would be okay. But at the time, it's like the biggest deal in the world. And I guess that's what makes some of our great content, is because we take every interview so seriously, from a production standpoint, from a video standpoint, audio that Luis works on, to promotion, the whole team, Dre, Luis, Nura. We take it so seriously, but it also means that I take it really seriously, and I think it's because it's a growth process for me, is that I need to be my very best when I meet someone like Eddie Izzard, who's playing 30 dates straight at a top London venue in Jan and Feb of next year. I mean, he's a huge success, a huge act. And so, to be honest, Mike, I grow myself by constantly pushing myself to be able to interview someone like Eddie, to hold the frame, to hold his attention, to make a great interview. So doing things like that, doing things like Ido Portal moving interview, again, speaking with people like Marianne Williamson and other people who have been around the block, have given capital TED TED Talks, have addressed Harvard, have done these big things. For me, just prepping for those people is a way I stay growing. So that's one, Mike. Two, going out of my comfort zone, building an academy, something I didn't know anything about, and then trying to make it better every single day. And trust me, it's never good enough. I always think we can do a lot better, and more great things are coming. We've already just made some amazing technology improvements just recently. So that's a growth process. And then just building our media presence. We're really getting a lot of phone calls coming back from big guests. So I just want to make sure we stay out in the front, that we explore new content, maybe more documentary type stuff, and we really push our profile, raise our profile up, pitch new ideas, pitch JVs, talk about events coming up like the summit on March 12th. So that's how I stay growing, Mike. And honestly, if we're not doing it here at London Real, it's because it's not fun. So I find this tremendously fun, and I'm constantly being pushed, and that's really the journey of London Real, is me pushing myself. So I hope that answered your question. Savagery. Sir Jupersad, that's a good name. He said, Brian, as you're trying to spread the word and London Real is getting so popular, I'd like to know if you would be able at this stage to provide a discounted rate for the low-income, unemployed people and 18-plus students to join the academy. Here's my answer. No. It's already discounted. It's heavily discounted. In my opinion, the academy should be priced twice as high, and the price will be going up in January. I personally think it's even worth more than that, because the community you get through the Facebook page alone is so inspiring, it's so collaborative, it's so helpful, it's so pro-creation, that alone is amazing, not to mention the access to come to the studio and meet and talk with us, private messaging access to me on the Academy social media group, the Success Secrets, the Pena Live at the Ritz, the Phil McKernan event, the live episodes, the content, the blogs, everything super valuable to me. So it's already a discount for everyone. And what I've found is that people that are looking for discounts are people that are looking for excuses. And it's just that simple. And the other thing I found, and Oren Clough said, people value what they pay for. And if you don't pay and invest in it, it's not going to be valuable for you. And if you can't pay $1 a day, then I'm telling you, 50 cents isn't going to get you more interested. So again, I go back to Dan Pena, focus on the few. That's what the Academy is all about. We get people that join the Academy. Quite frankly, we get sometimes people that leave the Academy, and I don't even worry about it anymore, because I'm trying to find that hardcore group that's going to be with us for the next 30 years. And they're going to be our business partners, our employees. We are going to mentor them. They are going to mentor us. People always say to me, how can I work for London Real? We only hire people from the Academy now. I only meet people that are Academy members. I only accept phone calls from people that are Academy members. So we are building a close-knit group. And if you're not willing to invest in us, then, we're not willing to invest in you. So that's my answer. I know it might be a little harsh, but like I said, I think it's already heavily discounted. And I've had email chain conversations where someone will send me a 3-page email telling me how they can't afford something for $30. And I always think to myself, if you spent the last hour you spent on the email pitching an idea or working, that you might have an income to talk about. And again, I know that's harsh, but when I see people doing that, they're in a monkey loop in their brain. and they're looking for excuses, they're procrastinating, they're placing blame, they're having a to me mentality, and it's just really not worth my time or the investment, and I can see it coming from a mile away. In fact, I can tell by your tone of voice now when I'm out at a restaurant or if I'm out at a coffee shop, I can tell if you're in victim mode because you can hear the tone of voice. Try it sometime, and you'll hear someone, they'll be like, they're complaining about something, and that means they're already in a victim mode, and I just can't help you. Again, back to Dan Pena, I can't help you when you're in the hole. So there's no point in me getting in the hole with you. But if you want to come out of the hole, we're up here and we're ready to help. So hope that answers your question, Savitri. Make the investment. Trust me, you'll get 10 times that in return. Invest in yourself and pay for these things. Next question. John Robinson left me like 14 questions on the Academy. John, I appreciate it. He also tells me that he found London Real through Dan Pena. So that's a first, which I like. John had a bunch of questions, so I'm going to go rapid fire for you, John. Brian, what's the big secret to a great interview? That's a great question. Preparation. Simple. Preparation. I look at some of the great interviews. Charlie Rose is a great interviewer. Mark Maron's very good as well, who does audio interviews out of his garage in Los Angeles. Interviewed President Obama in his garage. Great inspiration. Mark will listen to everyone's album. He'll read all of their books. He'll go crazy with research. And when I was sitting here with Eddie Izzard yesterday, he mentioned something. I remember listening to a podcast I listened to on Saturday for 90 minutes, and I had one little snippet that I said to him, as a street performer, I said, children behave like animals and adults behave like children, as in attention span. And I was able to get his attention, and we talked about something. So preparation is so key. Being ready and just being loose and fluid, being ready to flow. I think Hickson Gracie called it the 0 point. Ido Portal calls it the same thing. Being able to react, being in the moment, not planning too much, not planning too little, but being able to make tactical decisions on the fly. That's the best place you want to be. John Lee asked me about what makes a great interview, and I said, you really need to put yourself into their brain. And so with the Iceman today, yeah, I can sit there and say, oh, it's amazing. You sit in the ice and you do all this. But I want to get into his head and think, well, what if I was the Iceman and I did all these things? I still have bad days. What do I really want out of my life? And so I asked him that question. What do you want? Where do you want to be in 2020 when you come back to London Real and tell me everything you've done? And he sat there and he's like, okay, Brian, I like you, Brian. That's the way he talked. And he gave me a really good answer. So preparation, John. I hope that answers your question. Number 2 from John, quick fire. How do you think Chris Eubanks will do in the jungle? I think you're talking about the celebrity get me out of here thing that's happening in Australia. I don't really follow that. I don't watch TV. But I hear Chris is battling it out in a psychological way with some people down there. I think Chris would do awesome in the jungle. Matter of fact, I know he's going to do awesome in the jungle because Chris has a history of getting inside people's heads because that is what you do as a professional boxer. So I know Chris is going to be great at that. That's what he does, and he very well might win. Chris is, he's fabulous. He's very philosophical and introspective, and I think if my money was on anyone, it would be on Chris, not to get flapped and to get in people's business. So my money's on him. I hope to see Chris very, very soon. John Robinson asks again, what's dangerous to you? That's a good question. I like going to where the fear is. I like shaking it up. So for me, it's like having these big guests, putting me out in the middle of London where rain or cars or police are an issue, when I've got Ido Portal there and not wasting his time and trying to get everything in. I like doing that. I like building the academy. I like pitching new business ideas behind the scenes. I like building new digital products. I like doing all this crazy stuff and taking London Real to some place where it's never been before. So that's what I find fun. That's the kind of stuff that I find really exciting and dangerous. Not necessarily jumping out of planes, although Carl, I might do that with you. We'll see. I used to fly helicopters, but I stopped, and I think I'm going to stay away from that because that's really dangerous. And I can't do that right now with my girls. Just for me having a thrill would not be a good reason for me to come home in a body bag. So none of that. Last question from John is, can you give an example of an affirmation? I hear Dan has 20 or so. That's Dan Pena. Have you read or heard any that inspire me? I'll give you one that I said this morning on the way to the tube, and that is, I am excited and comfortable to invest capital to expand the brand of London Real. And that came from Pena a year ago when I was really hesitant to throw more bad money after good or good money after bad into London Real because it wasn't a business and it was just losing lots of money, and I had to step up and just throw even more at it. And so every day I just say I'm happy and excited and comfortable to just keep pursuing this thing that doesn't have a clear outcome from a business or financial standpoint, because I know it's the right thing to do. But when I affirm that in my head every day, it just makes it easier to do everything here, because it just says, again, we're doing the right thing, and so let's go all in. So that's a great example of an affirmation. A few other questions here. We're going deep a little bit, which I like. Yuri Katarabek says, Brian, I know the theme of love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. But all my life I keep hearing that is not good enough, self-talk. The one thing I do bad erases all of the good stuff in a blink of an eye. Tell me about it, brother. I'm the same way. I'm the same way about guests. I used to be the same way about comments on YouTube. You could see 10 good ones, one bad one. Now I don't read them. Well, I do every now and then, but I don't dwell on them. So 2 questions. He said, gratitude journal, do you use one? Do you keep something? Yes, I do. I used to use the 5-minute journal. That's the icons. I don't know if that app is working anymore because I know they got something new coming out. So I actually email to myself the questions they used to ask me, which are the 3 things I'm grateful for today, and I say them, and I try to do new ones, which I learned from James Altucher. You can't just say, I'm grateful for my health, I'm grateful for my family. You got to get really creative. I'm grateful for the bus driver that drove off and left me standing because it teaches me better time management skills. That's good gratitude. So I do that. I do, what are the 3 most important things to do today? What would be great if you got it done today? So that gets me on big picture. What are 3 things I got to get done today? That's important. And the last 3 are 3 affirmations. And I just try to say something like, I know 120% that I am the best leader to take London Real to a 10x bigger entity in the media, in the global media space, or something like that. That my vision and leadership will take us to the next level, that kind of thing. So those are the things I do with that. Great tips, super important to do. Do it in the morning. It's like brushing your teeth in the morning. I wake up, I meditate. As of today, I'm going to start doing the Wim Hof breathing exercises. That's 30 deep breaths in the morning and 1 hold. I did it today, it blew my mind. And then I meditate. I do the gratitude journal in the tube, and I speak out my affirmations on the way to the tube. That's a great way to brush your teeth for the brain every morning. Works really well for me. Second question from Yuri, self-sabotaging behavior. Any experience with this and how to keep it locked down? Well, this is real talk, so let's talk real. Self-sabotaging behavior. Yes, Brian has done plenty of that in his life. To be honest, if I really look back and diagnose me in my 20s and my self-sabotaging behavior, what I think I was doing is I would work, beat my head into the wall, work. And then at night, I think I wanted to get away, Yuri, from the guy that was critical of himself so much that then I would go out with my friends and drink, I think to get away from my own self-critical self. And by doing that, I would set myself up the next day to start out the day having a bad day, hungover. So that was a way that I actually was sabotaging myself. And a few of my friends at the time, they could see that, but I think they could see me in a pattern that there was no way I could have got out of. And if they would have told me what I was doing, I'd been like, what are you, crazy? No, I'm not. But they'd be like, okay, but Brian, for the last 10 days you've done this. And I'd be like, well, F you. So in retrospect, I think that's the way I was self-sabotaging myself. And that could go really deep because maybe I didn't love myself or I don't think I deserved it. But that's the way I used to do it. And I think I used to do it because I was so self-critical of myself that at the end of the day, I didn't want to hear myself criticize me. So I would just tune out and then I would start the next day at a 5 instead of a 10. I don't do that anymore. Thank God. It's hard enough living life starting off at a 5 every day. It's hard enough to be successful starting off at an 8 or 9 every day. And I think I got there by, quite honestly, being open and honest and communicating, doing London Real, hopefully letting people live through me and not doing this buy me mentality, which dominated my life for so long. Look at Brian, he got the degree from MIT. Look at Brian, he got the job on Wall Street. Look at Brian, look how much money he made. Look at Brian's fancy flat, blah, blah, blah. All this buy me stuff, which is great in the short run, but it leads to nowhere. So I think as I started to do the through me thing, which I didn't know I was doing at the time, but as I started to just like give this message of, let's all get in this together. Let's figure out something better in this world. Let's talk about ideas. Let's help each other. Let's see each other grow. Let's promote the wonderfulness in each other. I think I started to be better on myself, be easier on myself. Ayahuasca helped, meditation helped, and I'm still doing the battle. My girls help a lot. Having family, raising a young kid really helps you not think about yourself a lot. So that's helped me a lot, Yuri, when it comes to not self-sabotaging myself. And I don't think I do it that much anymore. I've got great chances to self-sabotage myself every week when a guest comes in here, and I pretty much don't do it. And I could do it now, and I pretty much don't do it. I show up and train. I think I'm pretty good at not beating myself these days. But you never know. That could change. So I hope that was real enough for you. A couple more questions, and we're going to wrap this thing up. By the way, if you want to leave me a question, you can go on the Academy, click Academy, and go to Real Talk, and you can leave me questions for next week. You can leave them for me on YouTube in the comments down here under the video, on Facebook, on Twitter. Just give them to me. They're great. We do this every week live, 7 o'clock London time. I love it. Thomas Zirk says, how do you select the ideas and techniques which you want to go deeper into? Do you just listen to your gut? You have many amazing people on your show, and sometimes what they say seems the opposite of other people. Ty Lopez, read a book a day. Dan Pena, don't read any books. I get it. So to make a long story short, how does your compass work for your journey? Amazing question. And people ask me this all the time. Brian, Ty says read a book a day. Dan Pena says don't read. What do I do? You know what? Go with your gut. Magnus Walker. I totally agree. What I do is I pick up little things from each guest along the way. Some I might not use for 2 years. Some I'll recall tonight when I'm talking about Tim Ferriss. Some I'll think about today when Wim Hof is talking about breathing exercises. And I remember some psychedelic episode, somebody saying, you can achieve a psychedelic state through breathing. And I never even thought about it. I was like, yeah, right. But today, I got it. So all of this stuff kind of builds up in me, and I think I take the stuff I need at the time, and I leave the rest. So Elliot Holt's active meditation, I love it. I use it. Ido Portal, I'm doing backhand walkovers, lizard walks, rings. I love it. Wim Hof, I'm going to try some cold work. I'm definitely going to do his breathing exercises. But some guests, they'll just come, and I won't necessarily do it. James Altucher told me to blog on Instagram. I haven't started doing that yet. Dan Pena says, get selfish. Sometimes I try to get unselfish, So there are extremes, and I just follow the best way to go. I have the greatest job in the world because I get to get this direct contact, and I get really inspired by the people here. But hopefully I transfer 80% of that to you guys so you can get the same thing. The best thing is have an open mind, listen, and get that information, and your heart will know where to go. Something will trigger in your head, and you'll say, wow, that's really interesting. I got to know more about that. That was me when I heard Aubrey Marcus talk about ayahuasca on the Joe Rogan episode 5.5 years ago. And 18 months later, I was in a ceremony. So just feel it out, get the information, go to a good curator, which I hope is me in London Real. Trust them to fill your brain with good stuff, and then go with that. Last question. I'm getting good at keeping these nice and choppy. Ken says, Brian, what do you see London Real Academy growing to in the future? Not necessarily 20 years, but perhaps 5 or 10 years down the road. I think I said it earlier. For me, the London Real Academy started out as something that I was like, okay, let's make it 10,000 or 20,000 people, da-da-da-da-da. But quite honestly, I want a core group of people that bleed London Real. They bleed what we're about. They're in 100% for the long term. They want to come to the focus groups. They want to come to our summit in March 12th. They want in on all the exclusive courses. They want to watch the live episodes. They want to help other people create businesses. They're going to mentor people. They're going to offer free services like Chris, my man in California. We had a guy in here at a focus group that says, yeah, Chris contacted me. He's giving me free personal training on Skype. And it didn't even surprise me because I met Chris at the focus group that Brenda had in San Francisco. And I met Sergio out there and all these amazing people. And I'm like, that sounds like him. So focus on the few. We're looking for a hardcore group of amazing people that just want to give, help each other, a real tribe. And so that's what I want the Academy to be. And quite honestly, if we have that core group of a couple thousand people over the next few years, we will be unstoppable as a force. We're going to have the directory and the Academy. That means you go to Amsterdam, you can go see my man Archie. If Tony Flowreel flies to Seattle, he can go hang out with Akash and watch his TED Talk. the things I see and happen on the Academy are incredible. And the people that come up to me and say, Brian, I don't really understand the Academy, I'm going to leave. I'm like, dude, if you don't get it, then please go. Because if you can't see the amazing things happening, it's because probably you're not really ready to invest or you don't understand the vibe we're on. That's okay. I'm focusing on the few here. We're looking for the right people, and we're going to, like I said, do business together. You might come work for London Real. We might do a partnership with you. We might have you on the show, but that's how I get to know who our real people are. And then as far as London Real, we're going to be a media company. When I see Vice, I see great things. They produce a large amount of amazing media. They're an agency. They put together corporate sponsors with their content. I love what they're doing. So I think that model's a thing to shoot for, but also I like the fact that we're going to have a private academy with real members. You can come to the studio, touch me, touch Winston, and do all that good stuff too. So I want the offline, the online, and that's what I'm looking for the future. And we're doing it. 2016, I'm telling you, it's our year. Everything is going to blow up. Everything is going to come together, and we're going to do a year in review video. I was talking to Luis today about it, and I'm trying to remember. In January, we had like one member on the team, and I had no TED Talk. And now 10 months later, we've got so much. We've got a brand new set. We've got a 10-strong team. We're having a private dinner for the inner circle of the Academy team. There's 10 people at dinner that are working on making everything great here. We've got a beautiful set. We've got A-list guests asking us to stop by. We're streaming live. We got a big announcement coming for January. We're creating new products. We've got an academy that's amazing. So don't get me started. It's all kicking off, and I hope you're a part of it. So if you're not an Academy member, I don't know what's wrong with you. Give it a try. It's 30 days, but once you get in there and feel the vibe, you're going to love it. If you're not on the Facebook group, get in there. That alone is worth the value. It's like the opposite of Facebook. You go in there to be inspired by real people telling real stories, no fluff. And that's it. This has been Real Talk number 5. I love doing these. These are fun. If you're getting value out of this, tell me. Leave the comments below. I will tailor this as you like. We've got special guests coming up. It's Brad Burton's going to be here in December, and it's going to be like this one-on-one. We're going to answer your questions. So leave your questions for Brad. Also, leave your questions for me for next week. And go watch those live episodes on the Academy. And until then, be good to yourself. Love each other. Vibrate as one with the rest of the universe. And, as Wim said to me today, it's all about being healthy, being strong, and being happy. And that's all that really matters. That's it. Peace.